Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. All right, what up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends.
Yo.
We are back, baby. Oh, by the way, is this an Astro shirt? Oh, thank God.
I'm
You got
wearing an Astro shirt,
Yeah,
too.
because we're going to win the fucking World Series, let me tell you. Trey Mancini from the Orioles, who is a first baseman. It helps the Yuli trouble that we kind of find ourselves on. It's funny because I trust Yuli. I know Yuli will come around. He's just not batting. He's not batting 300 right now. It's just not.
Is and the end of his career.
Well,
is he
yeah,
not?
I mean, he's Cuban too, so we'd have no fucking idea. He
But
could
on
be,
paper, he's like 30
right,
something,
exactly.
like
But
37.
he could be 52 years old. He really could. We have no fucking idea. Him and Jordan could both be in their 50s, and it would not surprise me. Whatever. Yes, Papi. How old? How old you think? Okay. How long can I play for? You say till this old. Okay, let me do the math. Yeah, I'm 21. I'm 21. Yeah, welcome to this country. Jordan is 25 years old.
On paper? He looks kind of young, though.
Come on, he's a full-grown man. He looks like Big Papi right now. He looks like an old Big
but
Papi.
25 is he's
Yeah.
almost in his prime.
I mean, I'll give you that he's in his 20s, but he's not 25. They shaved some days off.
Shaved a
and-
couple years off.
Yeah, and
what
that's,
was
you
that
know.
kid back in? Remember the Little League World Series where there was like this kid just destroying everybody? And
Yeah.
He's like
Same
16.
thing. Yeah, he was like, "What? No, I'm there. You have a mustache. No, I'm. It's fine."
You're supposed to be graduating from high school.
Yeah, Trey Mancini is really good. He plays in the outfield and he plays first base. He's batting like 280 or something right now, and he's doing he was a favorite on the Orioles. It's kind of because Baltimore's not out of the race.
Yeah, they're only 3 games out of the wild card.
It's strange that they did this, but there's a couple of strange moves that I don't really understand, like Josh Hader from the Brewers.
Yeah, because the Brewers aren't they leading that division?
Yeah, they're 3 games up on the Cardinals, so it's like, what are you doing?
And the Cardinals are making moves.
A lot of people are saying that they're going to have to pay him astronomically here coming up in the future, and they're just like, I don't want to do it. But let's go back to the Astros. So Trey Mancini is a big pickup. We got a reliever from the Braves named Will Smith, a white Will Smith. That's hilarious. And then we got Christian Vasquez, a catcher, a very good catcher from a World Series winning team from the Boston Red Sox. I mean,
he's a better hitter. I mean,
hell yeah. Listen, I like Martin Maldonado too, and I know that he's big for the pitchers but see, this is different than last year for me, where I feel like Martin Maldonado had to be there for those young pitchers, for Fromber and Luis Garcia. But these guys are good now. They're good. They're grown birds. They are ready to fly the coop. They don't need Martin Maldonado, and he can be there from the dugout. He's not going anywhere.
and I'm sure that he'll probably still.
Yeah.
They might even only like split even.
Maybe
50-50,
we'll see how if Christian Vasquez comes out and starts fucking hitting really well and can move up in the line, because that's the problem, is that the end of the lineup is struggling, and that's what they're realizing, is that we're gonna get into the playoffs,
especially if Yuli is struggling.
And I need somebody on base when we come back around to Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman and Jordan. I need at least somebody to give them problems. That's not just.
Is Brantley gonna come back?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that Brantley's coming back. So when Brantley comes back, we now have
Bregman's out right now too.
Yep, on paternity.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's just that he just had a baby, but he'll be back. And a lot like McCullers, I like the fact that we haven't seen our whole team together, and we're still 12 games up on the Mariners, who are a good team and traded for Luis Castillo and are going to have a very good team going forward with Julio Rodriguez and that young core that they have. The Seattle Mariners are really good. We're still 12 games up on them. Jordan's missed time. Alex Bregman hasn't played 100%. Jose Altuve's not. I love Jose Altuve, but he's not MVP Jose Altuve anymore.
Not playing,
and we're still fucking killing it. We're still. Jake Myers is playing good. Fucking Chas McCormick and that Medovich. Jake Medovich. What's his first name? Matevich. I don't know how to say that But he's playing really good too.
I don't know if I've seen him.
Yeah, he hit that walk off. He had the walk off single and in the Yankees doubleheader. But anyways, yeah, the Astros are going to win the World Series. The only problem is that the motherfucking Yankees also made some moves too. They got Frankie Montez, who on the Athletics, who a lot of people were saying he's the best pitcher that's out there on the market, even better than Luis Castillo. So that's scary. They add him to a rotate. That they needed pitching, so that's like, oh fuck. Now if they can go Garrett Cole him, that's bad. But Benintendi is a really good outfielder, and when I saw that come up, I was like, what the fuck? They don't need that? This fucking Yankees team has won 70 games already. What the fuck? So, well, I'm glad that the Astros responded, and I'm glad we made some moves too.
We still got time to do some more.
Yeah, I mean, that's
if
true.
we need to.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what else we would need.
I wouldn't be mad with another reliever. I like the guys that we have. I know Stanek is everyone thinks he's playing well right now, but I would like because we lost Odorizzi. We traded Odorizzi to the Braves, so now that was one more arm that I thought could be there in kind of a long relief position. I don't know about White Will Smith. Maybe he's good, but I don't know. Maybe I'd take one more bullpen arm if there's one out there, or. I really was gung ho about. I was like, let's trade Kyle Tucker and every prospect we have for Juan Soto, and let's win World Series for the next fucking 6 years. But this morning, actually, before he got here, they finalized the Juan Soto, and they got Josh Bell. I don't know what they gave up. They must have given the Padres must have given up the fucking house,
all
bro.
of their,
they must have given up every fucking.
Well, and they got to pay the dude. Well, apparently they got him for the rest of this season and 2 more years.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big move. You think about adding Juan Soto and Tatis, because Tatis hasn't even played yet. So you add them together, they come in and the Padres are going for it. They are definitely
hey,
going for it.
At least they're trying.
Yeah.
You can't say that they're not.
No,
it just
hell
doesn't
no.
ever seem to work out for them.
No, and I mean, this is a big young star that if they can all play well together, I think
They still got that one dude. Who was the big name they picked up like 5 years ago?
Oh, Manny Machado?
Yeah, Machado.
No, he's on the fucking Dodgers.
No, is he? He's a Dodger.
Yeah, he's on the fucking Dodgers, like they all are. The problem with the National League is that I just have a feeling you're not going to beat that All-Star team when that is on that Dodgers team.
That's one of the reasons why the Padres have been the Padres, because it's not that they've been a bad team. They just they can't beat the Dodgers. You know?
Yeah. The only other one that I didn't talk about on there was Tommy Pham, formerly of the Padres, right? Went to the
I don't even know
I don't know where Tommy. Actually, no, he was I don't know. But Tommy Pham, I know the name, and he went to the Red Sox. The Red Sox, interesting moves, getting rid of their catcher like that, but then also picking up Tommy Pham. They're not out of it. They have played poorly, but it was a weird day of I don't really get the moves that they made, but
maybe they just don't think they have what it takes to win the whole thing, and
that's kind of weird.
Make moves for the future. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's see. Other big news that came down the pipe.
Vasquez didn't seem very excited about.
No, he was upset. He was upset. Sorry, bro. Don't give a fuck. Get in the uniform, huh? But speaking of getting in uniforms, Deshaun Watson will only miss 6 games before he suits up for the Cleveland Browns. 6 games. Now, we have until Thursday for the NFL to make their decision on whether or not they will appeal and say, no, we think that we need to add more games or take games away.
Which is weird, right? Because they essentially give this power to a judge and say, hey, make a ruling on this. He makes a ruling on it, and then they can look at it and be like, well...
Only if it's more than 0. If this arbitrator would have came back and said, I think he should be suspended for 0 games, the NFL could have done nothing. They could have said, oh, wow, okay, well, then we can't appeal it.
But because they gave him anything?
If they should have given him 1 game, then that means the NFL gets to appeal.
Because people were really butthurt about this. But again, it's like...
Listen... The more and more that shit comes up on this, well, it's not that he didn't do anything wrong. He did do something wrong. He was a perv. He was creepy.
Okay,
he was morally a little off. You know what I mean? There's some line that maybe he crossed that you're not supposed to do in the masseuse world. However, He wasn't grabbing the arm and shoving it on a dick. He wasn't forcing the head down on a dick. He was merely rolling over and saying, somebody gonna take care of this dick? Who's gonna take care of this dick? Because I know you've been rubbing my back, but I'd like for you to rub something else.
But like,
and that's not, I mean, that's tacky and it's kind of gross and it's not the right way to do this, but it's not necessarily against the law. That's why no charges were pressed.
right? I mean, like, I guess that what they're saying
Not
is he
no charges.
violated their personal personal conduct policy, which I'm sure there's something in there.
You know, they say that he had 66 bookings of masseuses during like this year and a half stretch or whatever, right? But we only had 26 lawsuits. So the other 40 women, what are we saying happened there? They
sucked it.
Yeah, they sucked it willingly, happily. They were like, "Oh, yay!" I'm telling you, I've said it before. At least half of those girls waxed. They shaved their pussy. They got nice and dolled up. They put on makeup, which they probably normally never do. They probably put on heavy makeup whenever they were going to be a masseuse to do their job, when they probably normally put like just a little bit of foundation on. They fucking did the eyes. They did the whole thing. I know how women work. And they lovingly sucked his dick. They thought they were going to get
Use
some
both hands
for
and
longer
cup the
than just
balls.
They fucked him to completion. No condom. They were like, fuck it, I don't care if he gets me pregnant.
It's just odd though, because I don't know.
Well,
And people really butthurt about like, well, Calvin Ridley got 17, like a whole season for gambling.
Shout out to Rich Eisen, because he kind of explained this in a way that I did not understand. So in the new CBA, there's different tiers of discipline. So there's PDs, that you sexually sexually abuse someone or whatever, anything that has to do with like domestic violence, or that's a whole which is what this falls under, which is what Ben Roethlisberger during his case that he settled out of court, just like Deshaun Watson. Nothing was charges were pressed. He didn't have to go to court. He got 6 games. Ezekiel Elliott had the whole thing with his baby mama, and they settled out of court. He didn't actually have to go to actual federal any charges, and 6 games. So this is kind of the precedence that they've set for this.
And I think everybody's butthurt is that there were so many. That there's 20
And
something.
I get it. Now the problem is,
But it's the same act.
the problem is that the way this went out sequentially of that, okay, he sits out a year.
Right, he already missed the whole season.
We have the whole thing of like, oh my God, can you believe this? We talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Then no federal charges are pressed. That's the next thing that happens in the step. If no federal charges are pressed, then the NFL goes on a frenzy trying to get this guy. Everybody who's anybody's like throwing their name. I guarantee you, unless you were dead set on your quarterback, you made a phone call and you were like, so what's it going to take? And eventually, the $230 million guaranteed, the biggest contract ever that the Browns eventually laid down for him, came out. Then some more cases came out, and the social media went crazy of like, oh my God, can you believe it? And we always knew there was going to be an investigation, but now this lady does a full investigation. She's been doing it for the last year along with all the police. She's doing this same investigation. The NFL has hired her for 1 year to do this. She's talked to some of the girls face to face. That's the craziest part of this. She sat down with 4 women.
And she's the judge that made the ruling?
Arbitrator.
She's the arbitrator.
I think
it's
she
a
does.
judge,
Yes,
like a former
yes,
judge or
a
something
former
like
judge.
that.
Yeah, I think that from what I read, she doesn't currently do it, but
Right,
yeah. Yes. In any case,
And then she's
the
ruled
fact that she sat down with these women face to face, a woman sat with a woman, okay? Now, she should have empathy on a different level because we're both women in this. Tell me about what happened to you by this prick. They explained the story and she went, 6 games.
Well, she said that there wasn't a sufficient evidence for an indefinite suspension.
She said non-violent behavior,
Right.
which means that, and what I'm saying is, if he didn't physically grab any of these girls.
And I'm sure that there was probably like a playfulness, and like I'm sure that he's got some fucking moves, right? I mean,
he loves massage porn. Okay, we don't have to question it.
You know that he's got like a line.
Yeah.
He's got.
Because have you ever watched massage porn?
Yeah.
Because in the massage porn, there's always the playful, like it's either one way or the other. Either the girl wants to fuck the guy, so she's like way too much, or the guy's like, damn, she's hot, I want to fuck her. And it's always the rolling over with the oopsie, look at my boner. I just happen to be fully erect. All of that was going on, okay? I'm not denying any of that. He was being a weirdo about it, but he never once made contact. He never once grabbed the girl. He never stopped. The one girl that left the room, he put his clothes on and he left. He didn't try to stop her. He wasn't a rapey vibe.
It is still kind of weird.
It is weird. It is weird. And I guarantee you.
I take back my statement. Some of that shit's kind of wrong, Deshaun.
It is. It is.
That's exposing yourself to someone.
That's why he got 6 games.
Yeah.
That's why he got 6 games. He also set out an entire year.
He also paid him off.
Yeah, he did. He paid him off, and he got paid heavily. Because, and so who gives a fuck about whatever he gave? It was bad for him. It was a bad look. It's going to tarnish his whole career. We're always going to remember this about him. However,
but nobody remembers. Nobody really thinks about Ben Roethlisberger anymore and being a rapist.
I think it still comes up though.
Oh, it does still come up.
It comes up.
He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I'll tell a good Big Ben rape joke every now and then if I can pepper it in. I'll definitely throw it in there.
He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and it won't be something that we connect with him. And if Deshaun Watson wins 2 Super Bowls and has a great career, it won't be something that I will always. It'll be like, oh yeah, remember when he had all that crazy masseuse shit? Now,
I wonder if he still.
Let me put it this way though, he can't get a massage anymore. I don't even know. I don't know how else to put it.
He has to get dudes to do it.
He has to get dudes
men.
Or just
a male
can't have massages.
He needs to get. Where's Tom Brady's little guy?
Yeah, he needs Alex Guerrero to jerk him off. Honestly, he probably should because Tom Brady swears by it. He fucking loves the way that man handles that piece. And I've seen in the documentary he was jiggling in his arms, and I was like, yeah, this guy's probably pretty good. I'm not into men, but I probably would let that guy jerk me off. But yeah, I think so. Okay, quickly about all this madness that is all these numbers that are in front of you.
So last week
we talked about how I did blindly. I just randomly
wrote down a bunch.
I threw a bunch of numbers out there, and I was like, I based it on what they won last year. I also based it on just like what I think the vibe of the team is. Like obviously, I think Pittsburgh's going to be bad, and I think Atlanta's going to be bad, and things like that. But I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. I just was like, okay, I'm going to throw these numbers up there. But it's kind of crazy.
You are remarkably close.
I was really close on a lot of it.
Especially the AFC West.
Some of it I was dead on. But yeah, so then I went through, I printed the schedule up, and I went through and I actually picked every single game. Now, it's a little early to do this. I also clearly was heavily favoring some teams, and I was really mean to some teams. I can see some teams that I was like, ooh, like the Patriots. I have the Patriots going 6-11. Blindly, I had them going 9-8. So I definitely think there's a little. I don't think they're going to go 6-11. I do think they have a struggle with their division this year. I have Miami going 12-5. I only had them going 10-7 when I blindly did it. But if you look at it, there were a couple of teams that I noticed this. Philadelphia, Miami.
Damn, you got Philly going 16-1,
which is crazy. There's no way that they're going to go 16-1. But Las Vegas, Miami, and Philadelphia were the 3 teams that I saw that have a very easy schedule. So, yes, there are some division games that I think could split and maybe go either way. But other than that, if you look at their non-division games, like Vegas has a very easy schedule.
So will that affect where you want to draft their players then?
I think it does.
So then you're going to
Look, this is my list, see? And then
okay.
So that's what this list down here on the side is. It made me realize I need to break this down into there are teams that I will not draft draft from. I don't care who they are. I don't care that it's David Montgomery. I don't care that it's DK Metcalf or Najee Harris. I think Houston, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Carolina, even with Baker Mayfield, I don't give a fuck. The Giants, the Bears, and the Seahawks, I think those are the bottom of the barrel. I think that there aren't a player on that team that I could trust because there are going to be weeks where they get fucking shellacked. There's going to be weeks where defenses come in and just absolutely shut them out. Najee will have a nice 15-point game, but Pittsburgh will score like 7 points, and it just won't be worth it. And then there's
Najee would be the only one.
I get
Najee, I can see, and DJ Moore.
Yeah,
from
but
Carolina,
I get it. Carolina with Baker Mayfield, it goes in between the I don't
and
want
Brandon
them,
Cooks,
and maybe those guys. But see, there are so many games that you look at the Texans' schedule, and I know I'm being
but on a PPR league, he's consistently a top 20 receiver.
There are going to be hard weeks, and what did
you're not wrong.
What did we get to go along Brandon Cooks to now help him? We didn't upgrade many positions. We don't have an offensive line.
Davis Mills is going to win the MVP.
Right. That's what's going to
go to the Super Bowl.
So then the next category that I made is I put a question mark, meaning they're on the bubble for me. I definitely think these teams are not going to win the Super Bowl.
But you'll consider some of their players.
But there are players on those teams, and I think some of the teams could surprise me, like the Jets, like the Lions, and now definitely Cleveland.
Yeah, but so you're going to... God, see, I hate those shits where you're like... Like I drafted Michael Thomas last year, I drafted him late, but then I sit on him. I've done that several times where I'll draft someone and then I'll sit on him for a while, and it just never seems like it's fucking worth it in the end.
It's true.
Now I'm not saying like,
but it's because when their seasons are up and down, when the team's seasons are up and down and they're just not that good, then what happens is you hold on to these players. Like let's say you draft Travis Etienne Jr. and Jacksonville actually isn't any better than they were last year. And they come out and they're losing game after game after game. And he's doing all right. He's giving you Najee numbers where they're in the 15 to 20 point range. And it's consistent, but it's not amazing. He's never blowing your socks off. It just seems like, would you rather have someone from down below there? Would you rather have Elijah Mitchell or one of these got Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs? I'm just randomly pointing at some of those teams down there, but I would rather have someone from that than I would the question mark teams. But there's still question marks for a reason. Yeah. I get it if you're drafting somebody. Baltimore was a hard one. I'll tell you, there were a couple others that I thought about going to. New Orleans and Dallas. New Orleans and Dallas were two that I thought they could easily go in the question mark area for me, but I'll put them in the check mark just of like
Green Bay.
I know, Green Bay. No, you're right. Green Bay. I mean, obviously you're going to draft Aaron Rodgers if you need it at some point.
I think Tennessee probably in there.
Yeah. And Derrick Henry made me put him down there because I know that you should draft Derrick Henry. But other than that, who are you? You're not drafting Robert Woods. You're not drafting. You maybe would draft that rookie that they got
from New England.
You maybe do Devontae Parker and you maybe do some of their running backs because they and that's me being respectful to the fact that Tennessee, New England, New Orleans, Dallas, they should have winning records.
Right. I mean, they're going to be better teams,
right.
But
and there should be weeks where they do get a nice win because they play a bad team. There are going to be bad teams.
I mean, Dallas, I'm fine with them being in there because you have at least 3 guys on there that
people are high on CeeDee Lamb. I am not, but
CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Schultz. It's like all those guys.
So my question mark teams, I don't know if I named them. They're Jacksonville, the Jets, Cleveland Browns, Washington Commanders, the Detroit Lions, and I put Baltimore in there because aside from Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, which I think are draftable fantasy football players, I get it, they are. Yeah. What receiver are you trusting? J.K. Dobbins, who I do think will have a good year, but we haven't fucking seen it. This is an unproven thing to me. We
haven't even seen him be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I just struggled with Baltimore. I didn't put him in the no. I didn't put him in the don't.
But you're
draft
right.
from
So
there.
I would. Yeah, I mean you're right.
And New Orleans, Dallas, and Tennessee. And New England too. I mean, I completely hear what you're saying. They would not be at the top of my list. It wouldn't be. I'm not like gunning for one
You're
of
just
those.
saying they're going to have winning
They're going to have winning
records. They're going to
seasons,
be
so I
good
can't-
teams.
So if I'm looking at this list while I'm drafting, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this list with me. If somebody comes up and I'm just following who's the most best available, and it's Cordell Patterson or it's Devin Singletary or it's one of those. Oh, that's a bad example. But
I think Cordell Patterson and then like Phillies running back
Miles Sanders. Oh, you're taking
They're
Miles Sanders
about the
all
same
day.
place,
But you got to
right.
take Miles Sanders all day because the Atlanta's going to have some terrible games where they get absolutely shellacked. And I don't know if that happens to Philly. I honestly, if you look at Philly's schedule, I mean, if you want to believe that Dallas is going to beat them twice, I don't, but maybe. And then the rest of their division, they beat them. They beat the Washington Commanders and they beat the Giants twice. So that's an easy.
That's 5 wins.
To me, I think I didn't have them losing to Dallas at all. I had them sweeping Dallas. So I have
Sweeping
that
the
loss
division.
coming. Yeah, I have that loss coming from somewhere. I think it's the Rams. I think they play the Rams at some
did you
point.
see? Are you worried about Stafford and he's still nursing an injury that
Yeah, I
apparently
saw
he
that.
played through last year?
I think a healthy Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson, if they have both of them together, and Allen Robinson, and they've brought back damn near everybody, and also they added Bobby Wagner. So now their defense is a three-headed monster. That's how you win championships. I mean, I think they're going to be very good. I know 16-1 is not realistic because of their division. I think that
Stafford
obviously
just needs to stay healthy.
yeah, and I'm off on anything that's 16-1 or 15-2, crazy things like that. It's obviously
there's
skewed.
too much parity.
It's skewed. There's
league.
no way that happens in the NFL, but
And 0-17.
but it definitely was telling to me when I was going through of who I think is going to win divisions. I think the Raiders are going to win that division. I like the Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. I like how loaded that offense now where you add Devontae. They didn't lose anything. They had Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs last year, and they were a good team, not a great team. And they seemed like they were right on the cusp.
Right.
They added the best receiver in the league, and they added a good player on defense, and their defense is
Another
young.
good
And-
pass
yeah.
rusher,
And by the way, their coach is Josh McDaniels.
That's right. They
It's
got a new
not.
coach.
It's not John Gruden anymore. It's not an interim coach. It's a guy who has done this on a very high level, who could draw up some nasty shit for this offense. Who, by the way, Josh McDaniels likes tight ends. Just so you know, that's another reason why I'm big on Darren Waller. And I see the Vegas doing very well. Now I have them at 15-2. I had blindly said, this is what I had the AFC West blindly. I had Vegas at 13-4, Kansas City at 12-5, the Chargers at 11-6, and Denver at 10-7. All that happened when I did the picks was the Chargers and Kansas City flipped. So
And Vegas got a couple more wins.
Vegas got a couple more wins, but it's honestly when I looked at the schedule and blindly I just said 13-4. When I looked at the schedule, their schedule is easy. They have they play us. I think they play Atlanta out of conference. I think they play a lot of easy wins that they definitely will get. And I just see them having a very good season. Another one that I was way off on the AFC East. And I don't know what was up with me and the Patriots. I had the Patriots going 9-8 originally. I had the Miami going 10-7, and I had Buffalo going 14-3. I still have Buffalo going 14-3. I have Miami going 12-5, and I have the Jets actually going 7-10, and then New England going 6-11. So I have New England being in last place in that division. I just think the Jets also easy schedule. They have a last place schedule, so they have where they play a lot of other bad teams too. And I think that if I match Jets versus Atlanta, or Jets versus Seattle, or Jets versus Giants, I don't know. I think the Jets have made enough moves to get them to us. They're not a win.
I still think that I like their head coach.
Yeah, Salah's
I mean,
good.
he's still unproven, but
Yeah, but
he
they
was
had
a good
really good
coordinator.
draft.
Yeah.
They had a really good draft. I don't know.
The Jets. The Jets have been good before.
I'm not putting them at. They're not 12-5.
Yeah.
I'm putting them at 7-10. I think they win 7 games. And I think if you look at the Patriots' schedule, it's rough. It's rough. They've got Buffalo. They've got Miami, who I think has gotten a lot better. They've got a lot of people. They've got a lot of the new AFC West too. So I think they play the Chargers. They play the Broncos. There were just a couple of those, like Broncos versus Patriots right now. I think I'm gonna have to go Broncos, and that's unproven. I don't know. I don't know what the Broncos are yet. I have the Broncos at 10-7. I have them missing the playoffs just barely, but I think my AFC playoffs, I think it's fair to say those are maybe the best teams right now. Obviously with injuries and surprises that we don't know about, but I have Vegas at number 1 at 15-2, which is a crazy thing to say. But Buffalo and Cincinnati 14-3, Indianapolis 13-4, the Chargers will be 12-5, Miami 12-5, and then Kansas City I have at 11-6. I had Kansas City on some tough division games, like it was hard to just say, oh yeah, Kansas City will run over the Chargers or Kansas City will. I have a lot of splitting that division. I think that's where a lot of Vegas's loss comes from, is where I split in their own division. But let's see, what else was weird? I was pretty dead on the AFC North. I was 100%. Oh no, I Cincinnati I have a little higher, and it is me being a little Cincinnati bias. I do think I'm maybe hyping them up a little more. I thought they would be 12-5, but when I did the picks, I have them going 14-3. But I still have Baltimore at 9-8. I went through and I left all of the weeks 1 through 6. With Cleveland, I thought, okay, Jacoby Brissett is going to be the and I do have them winning a couple of games in their first, but I have them losing they play the Jets week 1. I think that's a loss. Oh no, I'm sorry. Week 1 they play the Carolina Panthers, which will almost certainly start Baker Mayfield to play at Carolina, play the Cleveland Browns, and I just can't see Baker lose. He can't lose that game. He can't. For his pride, for his
it's in Carolina.
It's in Carolina.
Yeah.
So for his livelihood, he cannot. And I think Carolina can win that. Jacoby Brissett Browns, I think they can beat the Jacoby Brissett Browns. But I have them winning some of the other ones, and I gained. I know that originally I had them. Let's see, if I have them at 8-9, that means I had them at 4 and whatever it is, 4 and 13. I had them at 4 and 13, but I gained 4 wins from Deshaun Watson. When I went through and I did it last night, where I realized, okay, he's going to be here after week 6, which we don't know yet. But if I play it that way, I have them going 8-9. I still, even with Deshaun Watson, I have them losing some games. They're not a good enough team right now for me to say like, oh, But give them the next couple. I mean, they got the guy now. They got the guy. Build around the guy. Add other pieces, and I definitely could see the Browns competing in the next couple of years. In our division, the only thing that happened was that Indianapolis went to 13-4 from 12-5. Tennessee, I had them at 10-7 blindly, but I think you're right. I think Tennessee could easily move into that question mark area because they got kind of a tough schedule, and I got them going 8-9.
If Derrick Henry is the same Derrick Henry that we saw right before he got hurt last year, then they can absolutely.
I don't know why that injury would not come back. I don't know why he would all of us. I mean, Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore, those guys can kind of break that mold, and maybe he is one of those guys. But
and he is a freak.
He is a freak. And
I hope so, because I just love watching him run.
I'm with you. They still lost a very big piece in A.J. Brown, and they didn't replace it. And I don't really. Robert Woods coming off an ACL surgery. I don't know. I don't know what to bet my hedges on that Tennessee team. But
I could see them taking a step back.
But 8-9, not a terrible team, but right there in the middle of the pack. Jacksonville, originally I thought they'd go 6-11, but actually looking at their schedule, it's like probably 5, maybe 5. You win 5, 5-12, 5-12. And yes, I on purpose made 0-17 happen for the Houston Texans. Let's go, Bryce Young. So if you are playing the Houston Texans in my pick'ems, you got a free win because if it was anything but versus the Houston Texans, I said you win. I wonder if that's where Atlanta got their win. I don't know where I gave Atlanta their win, but I was realistic with Atlanta, Seattle. I really was. I really sat and thought about it. I spent way too long on this, by the way. I really spent hours sitting and because you have to count things out. So you have to go through each team and go, okay, now they're 3-4. 4-4. Oh, now they're no, and like you have to go through each team, and if TV's on in the background and you're high as shit like I am, it's very difficult. But in the NFC, the playoffs did not change. This was my original. Actually, no, that's not true. I did not have Detroit. I think I had New Orleans in that 7 spot. And I had.
You got Detroit making the playoffs.
Detroit making the playoffs at 8-9. I mean, I think if you look through the NFC, like New Orleans, I have at 6-11, and it's just because they have so many bad matchups. Arizona at 7-10. I think San Francisco and the Rams easily beat them this year. I'm not really going to get on the Arizona train. Dallas at 7-10. I have Washington at 6-11. I just have the worst records are in the NFC. You know what I mean? So I think that's why you might see somebody with a losing record get in at that very last spot. Again. There's no way that if this is what happens, if my predictions come true, DraftKings, you're rolling out the fucking Brink truck. You are backing it up because I am a genius. But I don't think this is what is actually going to happen. But the Rams and Philadelphia both going 16-1. That's unrealistic, but I do think that both of those teams are going to be really good. I think Philly drafted. When you think about Philly's draft, they drafted Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean off that Georgia championship winning team. Both of those guys were touted as going to be in a first round, and they got Nakobe. They happened to get Nakobe Dean in the second round, which I can't believe that he ended up down there. They bolstered their defense while trading for A.J. Brown and already had a pretty good offense. I don't.
The number one rushing attack.
I also don't think their division is shit.
Yeah.
What's their division? Dallas? I'm not scared of Dallas. They're not scared of Dallas. They showed last year they weren't scared of Dallas. So Washington didn't do enough to get better, and the Giants didn't do enough to get better. And I just think Philly has a really good year. It makes me go, I want to draft Devontae Smith. I want to draft Jalen Reagor if he's available. I want to draft Dallas Goedert. I want to draft Miles Sanders. I'm cool with Philadelphia. I'm cool. Some of these teams that I went kind of crazy on, and it changed my mind about the draft. Like, it definitely made me think maybe Hunter Renfrow is a way better option than I'm thinking that he is. Maybe some of these guys that they like Emmanuel Sanders, I didn't realize is signed by Vegas as well. So he's kind of a crazy other option that just is going to show up on that.
That's a lot of mouths to feed, though.
Yeah, it is, and it might not always work, or one of them gets hurt, and now on this already stout offense winning team, somebody's got to catch these balls.
Somebody's gonna catch these
somebody's
balls.
definitely going to catch these balls. But Detroit, man, I really was like, and like some of them I was like, maybe this is a stretch. I don't know if the Lions actually win this game, but they had a lot of close games last year. I don't have them with a winning record. They're still 8-9, but I think Detroit makes a big jump this year. I originally blindly thought they'd go 6-11, but I gave them 2 wins on just heart and being a good team. I mean, you look at some of the other shit in the NFC, Seattle, the Giants. Some of these teams are dog shit. The Bears are dog shit. The Atlanta Falcons are dog shit. So there's wins for Detroit. And Detroit, Minnesota, I think both of those teams get better and they play better this year. Green Bay. So, and it's interesting because Minnesota's 10. I have them going 10-7 as well. When I did it blindly, I said Green Bay would go 11-6 and Minnesota would be hot on their heels at 10-7. But it was even closer when I did it. I know for a fact that I had them split with each other. So with Green Bay and Minnesota, they were 1-1. And then I think like Detroit got in there on some of that action, but they obviously all swept Chicago. And still, Green Bay has some matchups that I'm like, what? Are they beating San Francisco? Are they beating the Rams? Are they beating Philly? Are they beating Tampa Bay? I don't know. I mean,
Probably not.
You're probably not. Probably not. The top of the spear in the NFL.
Although, based on this, New Orleans should be not in the check mark.
Yeah, I hear you.
Dallas shouldn't either.
Yeah. New Orleans really shouldn't. And I think that Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas,
What's
Jarvis
up with Alvin
Landry.
Kamara? Can't he still get, like, fucking prison time or some shit?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I haven't heard anything about that.
Didn't he
I have
fucking assault somebody or something?
And the Pro Bowl, during the Pro Bowl. Yeah, that's right. But I haven't heard anything about that. I have no idea.
Why is he not getting suspended?
Yeah, and you're right. If anything, New Orleans is definitely in the question mark area and moving their way into the don't draft from. So is Dallas. So is, what was the other one? Tennessee, who's 8-9, so they've got a losing record as well. So I hear you. New England, I have it 6-11, so I really shouldn't draft.
And then
anyone.
even Green Bay, Green Bay for the simple fact, like, who are you drafting?
Who are you drafting from it? Yeah, I don't know. Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones has a good year because they're gonna have to change more to a running team, and they will score touchdowns and they will in the red zone. Yeah,
because somebody's got to catch them balls.
Yeah, but he can't catch. That motherfucker drops balls all the time. I saw it. I seen him.
He can't
drop balls from Aaron Rodgers.
He can't handle these balls.
And he's going to get the same balls.
So maybe somebody's going to catch
Christian
these balls.
Watson is the rookie that they took in the second round. He's a big body. I think he's like 6'3", and so I think that might be somebody that Aaron looks to just because he needs. I mean, you're right. Somebody's going to be running the routes, and somebody's going to be on the ball. But you don't have to catch it with your mouth. But I do. But anyways, I think we pretty much nailed the everything on
the
here.
NFL.
Yeah. Oh, Tampa Bay. I had them originally 13-4. But I mean, it's hard for me to say that they lose to people in their division. They're good. I know. I mean, I'm Tom Brady. I think the losses I gave them were.
But yeah, their division is.
I have them losing to the Rams, and I think the other one I had them losing to was Buffalo because I think they played Buffalo on the other side. So I was fair, but I was also like, yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay's gonna, with Julio Jones. This offense, did we talk about that on the last week?
I don't know.
I don't know if that
I know
happened.
that we talked about it, but I don't know if we talked about it on the.
Julio Jones going to Tampa Bay.
Especially if he can be.
Good fucking luck.
Anything.
Oh, yeah, we texted about this. We didn't talk about this. So Julio Jones signs a 1-year deal, I guess, sometimes after we did this show. And I mean, I've been on at work, I've been like, good. Especially in the NFC, okay? In the NFC, all they have to worry about is the Rams. That's it. You can't convince me. Yeah. I mean, I think Philly will be good, but I think this is a big. You're playing Tom Brady in the NFC Championship or something like that. We've seen Aaron Rodgers' butthole pucker again and again and again, and Jalen Hurts' butthole will definitely pucker.
Somebody's butthole.
Somebody's butthole is going to pucker, and somebody's going to catch a ball in it. But yeah, I mean. Julio Jones has now moved into the big body role of Gronkowski. That's what Todd Bowles said. Todd Bowles said he will move into that Gronk role of you don't have to run. Don't worry about running a go route anymore. You don't have to. I know you can't. So don't run it. Run a slant. Run a stop. Run a 10-yard stop and get open for my guy because he needs check down people. And if you're a legitimate
and he can catch
Hall of Famer,
right.
The way that Julio Jones is. Fucking hell yeah. And I guarantee you Tom Brady does this where he knows that like look what he did with Antonio Brown. He didn't have to throw him the ball like that. He has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk and other weapons that he can throw to. He likes to throw to his running backs. He was throwing to Lenny and throwing to Ronald Jones. But he gave Antonio Brown targets because he knew, and there's incentive based on Julio Jones' contract. So I guarantee you we see some games. Let me tell you this much. Late rounds, give me Julio Jones. I'll fucking take him.
At least a waiver, hang on to him just to see.
I don't think he shouldn't go undrafted. He won't in mine.
No.
I guarantee you. If I'm in a draft, he's not going undrafted because I'll take him.
Well, that's what I mean. You're taking a flyer on some of these late
Well,
draft
and the Russell
picks.
Gage pickup is big too because it's not that you're not asking Julio Jones to be your slot guy. That's going to be Russell Gage and Scotty Miller and Tyler John. This fucking wide receiver room of Tampa Bay is fucking loaded. They are loaded. Whereas last year, Antonio Brown takes his fucking jersey off and dips, and Chris Godwin goes out with an ACL surgery, and Gronk is in and out of broken ribs and not really himself. He was just throwing to Mike Evans all day. He was doing walk-offs with Cyril, what was that guy's name? Cyril Gaines or whatever that guy's name was. And he was Brashard Perriman. They're picking him up off of waivers, and he had a walk-off with Brashard Perriman. So I think that this is a huge pickup for Tampa Bay. It definitely affected me whenever I was doing these picks. So I'm like, who the fuck is beating Tampa Bay? I gave you Buffalo and the Rams. I'll give you that, but because those are going to be two of the tops in the league. But other than that, I don't see it. The NFC West was interesting too. Originally I had Arizona closer than that. I had them at 10-7, but then when I also realistically looked at for the first 6 games, they have no DeAndre Hopkins. Well, I mean, that's good for 2 losses, in my opinion. They play San Francisco in the first 6 games.
Well, from what I remember from last year, when D-Hop got hurt, their offense was just one-dimensional. He was kind of like the catalyst for that offense.
There's no Christian Kirk on this team. There's Zach Ertz and James Conner coming back, which is good. But then it's Rondale Moore who's young, and it's
it's D-Hop
nobody.
is so good for Kyler Murray, just like he was for Deshaun, because if he needs it, he's there. You know that he'll catch the fucking ball.
He's a guarantee. He's a guaranteed catch. He will definitely. Oh, motherfucker.
Still, you don't want that. You don't want him on your team, no.
No.
Not on your fantasy team.
No. Hell no. Wow. Yeah, so, oh, wow, that pisses me off. I'm sorry, I just got other news. What were we talking about? Kyler Murray. And who are you drafting
D-Hop.
off the Cardinals if you are drafting a Cardinal? I don't know. And
James
Conner and
maybe.
Zach Ertz.
But you got to draft Conner so early.
Yeah, and you got to also think about when you draft DeAndre Hopkins, because somebody will, but it's like, why would I?
Why did he get suspended? PEDs?
Yeah, 6 games PEDs. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it that we got on there. You're right about some of those teams. New Orleans at least has to go to question mark. So does Dallas. So does New England.
And I'm just saying, and some of those ones on checks is just the who are you going to draft from them. So we just said it with Arizona.
Well, and I think maybe that was part of me putting people down there like Tennessee, where it's like, well, obviously you're going to draft Derrick Henry. New England. I mean, I would say it's safe to say if you don't value the quarterback position that much and Mac Jones is there late, all right, I get it.
Stevenson is probably the only guy.
Damian Harris.
But I would rather wait 4 or 5 rounds and draft Stevenson.
And New Orleans has some names, but
Hunter Henry maybe. Your boy Jacoby.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jacoby Myers.
Yeah. But Dallas, I don't know. I mean, other than CeeDee Lamb, but I'm not actually,
Dak.
I did put Dallas on there because I know in my mind I really want Tony Pollard. I really want Tony Pollard.
You can if you're talking about rolling with one, especially if you can roll with Dak. You can roll with Dak in a 1 quarterback league.
You can. But yeah. I think I was pretty close though. If I look at my blind to my
just
picks,
dumped water all over myself.
I think it was nice.
That was cool.
I think I was pretty close.
Yeah, good job. So what's all this other shit? We got time?
Let's see what's going on here. Yeah. So what time is it? We on about 50 minutes here. Yeah. Why don't
Deebo, what's up with Deebo?
Oh, Deebo Samuel. Oh, I thought we were going to talk about conspiracies. God, we got to get.
We can go conspiracies.
One day, you know what? Next time we're going to start with the conspiracies.
All right.
So Deebo Samuel got paid. I think that was a long time coming.
He deserves it.
He wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah.
People
He's
that
one of the
thought
best players in the league.
He requested a trade, and it was like, no. And the San Francisco was like, we're not fucking trading you. Like,
you're our
that's
best
great.
player.
How much money do you want? Okay, fine, we'll give it to you. Like, fucking sit down. But yeah, and that changes my opinion about drafting him. Before, when I was fantasy football with him, I was like, I don't know, because he hasn't committed. He's not on board. He's not in this. But I just was like, okay, well, and now that he's in, I'm in.
Yeah.
And if he's there early, if let's say I'm 8 or 9 or 10.
He's like second round.
No, I think for me, because people will go running back crazy, and then
That's what I'm saying. You can get him in your
my second,
in your second
maybe.
round, I think.
But let's say people believe like I do, and like Jamar Chase is gone, and Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill's gone, and it's down to me at like 10 and 11. I'm like down at 10 and 11. I'm Deebo all day.
Sure.
I'm definitely doing Deebo. So, but yeah, one of the things. Speaking of Kyler Murray. His study clause, his independent study clause, man, so interesting. So he gets this big deal, right? And then it comes out that in the deal, they built in that for 4 hours out of the day, he is required to study film, and that his iPad and laptop will be monitored to make sure that he is watching film.
Why wouldn't they make him come into the facility?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, can you imagine Tom Brady hearing this? Like, 4 hours? A week? What are you fucking...
Oh, it's a week?
What about 4 hours a day, my man? How about 7 hours a day? How about I live in the film room? What are you talking about? This isn't a part of the... You don't have to tell me to do this. I naturally do this.
But that means Arizona put that in there.
Exactly.
Meaning that he doesn't study.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And this didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There was an interview from a year ago that then popped up that the talking heads were talking about, where he said, you know, it's funny to me because some people think you need so much practice and film tape, but I guess because of my athletic ability, which he's not wrong, it's just kind of like I can just go from like playing Madden to walking on the field and playing in the NFL. Now, there are guys,
which is true,
Michael Vick, Cam Newton, there are physical specimens that we've seen in this league that walk in and they get the speed of it. They're Robert Griffin III, when he first walked in, it was like, oh wow, they're so athletic and they're so good at football because they've played their entire life that they aren't really doing this based on the same. They're not 1, 2, 3 drop and they're making it happen. They're usually doing it with their legs, which Kyler is too. Kyler's scrambling. He's getting those extra yards because he is quick and fast. But when they're losing, and what I would say if I was Arizona, like, yeah, but when you fell apart, it was because when we faced good defenses that you needed to make quick decisions on, you couldn't do it. Like the play against the Rams where you literally just like threw it up like this and they walked in on a 2-yard interception touchdown. Like, we can't have that shit, bro. Like, you blew the game. Like, it was over after
and that. Takes that mental preparation.
And it takes
the mental reps.
First of all, out of the guys that I just named, Cam, Robert Griffin, Michael Vick, they don't win. They don't win. That's not...
None of them won a Super Bowl,
No.
right?
Cam took him to a Super Bowl.
But he lost.
But
he fell apart.
Fell apart when he got there because the Superman act didn't work anymore. He couldn't run through that defense. And the moment was maybe a little too much.
Here's the thing, though.
It's like...
I mean, like... If you are gifted with this superhuman athletic ability, and you also have a good, sharp fucking mind, but you refuse to use, like, that means that he's refusing to use part of his abilities, right? Like,
right.
He's like, I'm so good at this that I don't need to develop this. Like, that just, it tells you something.
Yeah,
I'm kind of out on Kyler Murray. I was never really a huge fan, but
well, and also, so then he goes on and he says that this was disrespectful and that like it's almost a joke that they would even say this. But however, you signed
after the fact?
after you signed the contract and after the media got hold of it and started talking about it, like, do you need help studying? Like, what's going on with you? And so, like, in these interviews and these little press conferences, he's been like, it's ridiculous. So then Arizona pulled it out. Now they've removed the clause from the contract. And it's like, well, hold on here. Okay, listen, the damage is already done. You already told us that he doesn't fucking study. Now it's popped up. Now because he threw a fit.
I think you're being too generous on the 7 wins now. Like this seems like a fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah, I'm not in on Arizona. They might even honestly need to move into the question mark area. I think that's a 5th team that I need to maybe rethink.
Cause just man, like what the fuck?
Yeah,
because that. I mean, wasn't it last year that like his team? No, none of his teammates were sticking up for him, and that was like this big telling sign that like if nobody in the locker room is sticking up for you, that's a sign that they don't really like you that much.
He is obviously just like the other guys that we named, Cam, Michael Vick, all those guys. He is obviously a talent. He is obviously incredibly athletically talented. Dude, and I was just about to say, he's one of one. There is only one person that has ever been taken number 1 in the NFL draft and number 1 in the Major League Baseball draft. There's only one. It's Kyler Murray. There's nobody else that's ever been taken. There's been guys taken in the first round.
He should have played baseball.
He could have played baseball. He might still play baseball. I think that's one of the things about the Arizona Cardinals that bothers me is that they don't see the writing on the wall that if this guy wants to throw a temper tantrum and just leave the league, he can literally walk in and play baseball because he was that good at playing baseball. Unlike some of these other guys who were good at playing baseball,
which is crazy.
Russell Wilson, things like that. Russell Wilson, it's admittedly so, would have had to work really hard to be a Major League Baseball player. He'll tell you that. It would have been astronomically hard for me to make it as a Major League Baseball player. Kyler Murray could be a starting shortstop probably within 4 years if he genuinely wanted to.
How many number 1 overall picks in Major League Baseball haven't really worked out? I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch.
Well, there's a lot, but how many of them haven't actually given it a shot? Very few. Yeah. Very, very few that were drafted number 1 or in the first round of baseball that didn't go give it a shot. What's his name? Drew Henson. Drew Henson was a guy that got drafted.
But he started in baseball.
He started in baseball. Then that's the thing is that he went to play baseball because he got drafted in the first round. In football, he got drafted in like the 6th round or something like that. And he was like, well, I'll go play baseball then. Went and played baseball for however many years and then was like, I'm not very good at this. I'll go play football.
This is hard.
I'm not very good at this either. And he was like, I'm retired. And that was his life. But
I'm sure.
Kyler Murray, it's just how often he threw a fit. He scrubbed his Instagram account of all the pictures of the Arizona Cardinals whenever he didn't get the contract he wanted. Now they're back. Then they put this study clause in there, which genuinely you might fucking need, kid. Why not just take it on the chin and be like, all right. And he could have said that in the press conferences. He could have said, yeah, it's something that maybe I haven't done in the past, but I'm going to work on for this year. And I don't take it as a slight. I take it as a...
Hey, maybe, you know what? I haven't put as much work in this
I'm not a champion.
Area as I should have, and that's definitely an area I can work on, and this is just something that they needed to give me some motivation. What the fuck?
Did they win a playoff game that I wasn't aware of? Or
they fell a fucking part.
They fell a fucking part.
They were like the best team in the league for the first 2/3 of the season,
and then at the end of the year, they just... So, I mean, Kyler Murray, I'm out, and I think you're right about Arizona. I think it's time to sell on Arizona and not buy into
could be wrong. I mean, they could come out hot while everybody's healthy, but like, again, they lost.
But no D-Hop.
I'm saying, D-Hop got hurt last year. JJ got hurt last year. Chandler Jones got hurt last year.
And now you don't have Chandler Jones, who started off on fire. If we remember last year, Chandler Jones was the runaway defensive MVP. He had like hurt. 3 sacks a game in every single game that they played. So,
and honestly, when JJ was playing, they were very good too. Yeah, but how many games are you getting out of him?
They're not. Are you going to get a whole season out of JJ Watt?
Fuck no. You'll be lucky if you get the first 4 games.
Over under 5 games for JJ Watt.
taking
I might
under.
take the
I'm
under.
taking the
Yeah.
under.
Yeah, so Arizona.
I'm
sell.
talking before he gets hurt.
Right, yeah. I'm talking about he plays
You're
5
the-
games out of the
All
whole
season?
year.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying over under before he gets his
Oh.
first injury and he misses games.
He's another year older. He's
my
another
God.
year.
And-
I know I saw a post of his recently where he looks absolutely fucking jacked. He always looks jacked. That's not a
He's huge.
That's not a new thing for him.
I remember
his
when
body
when
just-
he was a rookie and the whole team came in. He stood like you were like, holy fuck.
Oh, he's a bear.
Amongst the other NFL
Yeah.
players, this
Yeah.
guy is a
He's a
fucking
bear.
giant,
He's huge.
enormous man.
He's huge. Even when you see him next to his brothers.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is not a small guy, but he's so much
Yeah,
bigger than
JJ's
his
the
brother.
biggest of all.
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
bigger than their dad.
Oh man, he's a giant. He's a giant. He's the biggest one. Imagine birthing that. Have you been watching The Captain about Derek Jeter?
I'm surprised. I was actually seen all the commercials for it, and I was like, well, Josh hasn't really been. I was
you
always
know-
like, why wasn't Josh a Jeter guy?
well,
Just because you love the Astros so much?
I just for some reason like rooting for the Cowboys and the Yankees. It
Okay,
almost
that's
seems
what I
like
figured, yeah.
This
Cheating.
is like the Empire. Like I can't even originally when I was doing it for Tom Brady, it was like I'm kind of a dirty person for doing this. Like I kind of
Yeah,
feel
but
bad about it.
the Patriots were shit.
After 10 years of him doing it again and again and again, it was like, well, fuck. I don't care if it's bad or not. Like I'm rooting for this guy. This guy's awesome. Like I
Gotcha.
can't
At least
deny
you felt
it.
dirty at first.
Yeah, I felt dirty. Of course, I felt dirty about LeBron. I felt when I first watched LeBron and like caught myself jacking off secretly to him. I was like, man, I shouldn't feel this way. I'm a
feel bad.
I'm a Rockets fan. This is terrible. But then like as it goes on, you're like, fuck, man, this guy's good. Like you can't help it. They're a baseball. I definitely felt that way about Jeter. I was like, fuck, dude. And when you watch the documentary, you know, in his first 5 years. They won 3 times.
Well, they won 3 out of 4 years, right?
3 out of 4, but they went every year. They went to the playoffs every year, and most of the time went deep. And they lost 3 out of 4. They went to the World Series 4 times. And they were deep in the playoffs the 5th time. It's just like he started off on fire, and obviously had a good team around him. And I have cool memories too of hearing because I lived in New York. So I used to hear very cool stories about Derek Jeter, where it was like, this guy, it was on a different level.
Yeah.
They said he would come in and girls would just, like there would be a line. There would be a line of girls walking away from their boyfriends, just going up to where he's at in the club and being like, me, pick me. And he would just, like, there was one of my friends that worked at a rooftop bar that said that he would come in, all his friends would come in, and if it was during the season, he wouldn't drink. He would just have like one. He would have like a Grey Goose and soda. But he would buy bottles of Grey Goose, and his friends all around him would be fucking pouring it up, getting girls to come over and buying, pouring them drinks and stuff like that. And he would sit there and he would eat buffalo wings real quietly. He would eat the buffalo wings, and then after he was done, he would sit there and he would point out at a girl. He'd be like, and they would come over, and that was it.
And they'd leave, huh?
Yeah. He was you. Tonight,
You're the one.
it's you. Tonight, it's you. I'm too sexual of a person. You can't give me that kind. I'm glad I never became famous. That way it didn't come out that I was Charlie Sheen on fucking steroids. Like, that they were like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. He had sex with every hooker in Baltimore. But yeah, I love my wife and I'm just kidding. And The Captain, it's pretty good. I'm not going to say it's not Man in the Arena. It's not The Last Dance. It's not some of these documentaries that we've seen about
I'm sure if you're
sports.
a Yankees fan,
Yeah,
it's
I'm sure it's
amazing.
big, yeah.
If you're
And
a
it's cool to see.
baseball guy,
I'll tell you what, I didn't expect the A-Rod and him to be so open about everything that they're telling some tea. Like they are definitely talking about the inner workings of how they did not get along at the beginning and the shit that A-Rod said when he wasn't on the team that pissed Derek Jeter off. And it's very interesting. But Derek Jeter cared about winning, and A-Rod helped him win. So it was like, if you want to come in and play third base.
It's also fucking baseball. You don't have to be friends.
Yeah, and that's what it's actually the name of the third episode. I don't have to be your best friend. Like he said
it's not like think of the other games where like you're relying on these other people to be in a specific
for you and take a hit for you,
or play hard. You know,
you got to go this way.
That would be the only thing.
You got to
play
pass
hard
it to me.
Yeah.
We got to be a part of the game plan together. There is no game plan in baseball
other than.
There is no game plan in baseball. It's hit the ball.
Yeah,
hit the ball.
Be on the bag when I throw it to you.
Yeah, but that's on you. Yeah, you're supposed to be there anyways. Yeah. And if you did fuck up, then everybody gets to go, hey, man, what the fuck? Are you fucking idiot? You're not supposed to be there.
It literally is like a one-on-one.
Yeah, it's a totally one-on-one game.
One-on-one, but there's just a bunch of you.
Yeah.
Now there is the aspect of you guys they catch fire and that shit gets infectious and yeah, that shit's fun to watch. But anyway, so yeah, R.I.P. Bill Russell.
Yeah, that was the last thing. Bill Russell died yesterday. I gotta be honest.
Can he go in your top 50 now?
No. No. The fact that you played when there was 6 teams and there was fucking.
I saw this picture of him like blocking someone's shot over the other white dude.
Yeah. By the way, he's blocking the white guy's shot while he jumps over another white guy.
So that had to have been pretty fucking hard, bro. They were in his way.
Yeah.
He had to make sure he had to get his own teammates out of the fucking way to go block the shot.
You ever been at the gym or like a YMCA or something and like you're playing like pickup basketball and it's like it's a mix. It's like Mexican guys and white guys and all this shit. And then the one fucking giant black guy shows up and he's just amazing, right? It's just like, oh shit, why are we out here? It's like one of those like, oh my god, like we're just running around throwing it to Jamal, like he's so good. But at the end of the day, that's what he was doing, and we can sit here and be like, oh my god, well, I'm a champion. No, he was the only black guy. The only other black guy was Wilt Chamberlain, and Wilt Chamberlain just didn't have Red Auerbach and the organization that had built this dynasty long before Bill Russell. They had already been a historical franchise. And I get it. I'm not going to discredit the fact that he's a winner.
Well, he's dead now.
But he's dead.
You got to move him up.
Yeah, but he's not getting my top 50 now. Nobody from that long ago is getting in my top 50. There's no way. They're Bill Russell in today's game, he'd have a hard time. He'd have a real hard time. And in today's game, what I'm saying is where he has to shoot and be more of a stretch 5, shoot threes, while also being the only form of defense that you have. But then in the 90s era, where it was Hakeem and Patrick Ewing and Shaq, what is Bill Russell doing against Shaq? What is
he might have been more of a power forward in today's game, in those games.
I mean, even if
Tim Duncan, could it be Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan would fucking kill him. And I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean that by any rude way, but Tim Duncan would, especially if, let's say Bill Russell is the power forward on the team, so that means you have a center. And then theoretically, let's just say you were playing against David Robinson and Tim Duncan, meaning David Robinson could then theoretically get switched on you, because that's what they did all the time. They would just use those big guys to where, hey, let's get David Robinson in a good spot, or let's get Tim into a good spot. Whoever's the weaker of the power forward and the center, let's just abuse him.
David Robinson's one of my favorite players.
And David Robinson would absolutely destroy Bill Russell.
I loved watching him play.
And I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm just saying David Robinson is so much bigger and stronger, and I mean he played in a tougher era where he just had to play against big guys and I don't mean that Bill Russell didn't have to play against big guys. I'm sure there were big guys back then. Big white guys. Big white boys that were not good at basketball because we're white. It's proof in the pudding. We've got one white guy in the history of the NBA that's allowed to crack your top 10. It's not my fault. It's just the facts. Way to go, Larry Bird.
Good job, Larry.
Yeah, way to go, Larry. You did it. You did it. You're in there. And we'll let you know if somebody else gets
Pistol Pete.
No. No way.
What?
Even Jason Kidd wasn't the white side that was playing. The white side was holding him back. If he'd have been all black, he might have been 6'8". But because he was fucking had that little bit of white in him, he was a poor little short man. Debilitated him. I'm sorry that he had that white in him. I wish he could have got a little black in him. Anyways, put a little black in you. That's my message for today. Everyone should have a little black in them.
Get some black in you and catch these balls.
And I mean that. And we mean that. We mean that. But yeah, I think we did it. It's been a great show.
Yep.
Next week, or whenever we come back, we're starting with the conspiracy theories, and it starts with JFK getting killed by a magic bullet. Fuck off, algorithm.